Hey everyone, and welcome. Today we are talking all about stablecoins, and those of you who know me know that I'm a huge fan of stablecoins because they combine the benefits of cryptocurrency with some of the benefits of fiat currency. Now, what do I mean by this? Cryptocurrencies are really good at sending permissionless peer-to-peer payments for sending money transactions across borders. Stablecoins do all of that, but they also give you something that's relatively stable. So if you know the price of Bitcoin, one day it could be $6,000, then it could be $8,000. The price is very volatile. Stablecoins more or less maintain the peg to a dollar. At least that's their goal. How well do they do this? Well, if we look at it, we see that DAI actually had some pretty erratic behavior in the past month, going up to $1.20. So my purpose in this article is to get you to think about the definition of stability. And the thesis that I want to advance today is that there's really two definitions of stability that we need to talk about with cryptocurrencies. The first is stability relative to some fiat peg, such as DAI or USDC coin. They're trying to remain stable to $1. The second definition of stability that I would like to put forward is stability in terms of purchasing power. And the argument that I'm going to advance today is that these two concepts of stability are mutually exclusive. It's impossible for a stable coin to be stable to fiat and also maintain stable purchasing power. So let's get started. Stability to fiat is one of the great drivers of crypto adoption because what stable prices do, so the value of a stable dollar, people throughout history have been looking for a stable medium of exchange because it allows them to plan for the future. If I know that I'm going to need $100 to retire, I can save up $100 to retire, right? I know that's an unrealistic amount, but go with the example. $100. So I can set $10 aside each week. That's assuming my purchasing power is going to remain stable. Now, if the value of the dollar drops 50% in that time period, that now means that I'm going to need $200. Or if I'm a businessman making an investment decision, not only do I have to calculate what the returns from my investment are going to be, I also now have to calculate what's the value of the currency going to be? Yeah, I might make 5% on this investment 10 years down the road, but if the currency is devalued by 20%, then I'm actually losing money. So a stable currency is very good in general. Now, it's even more important for cryptocurrency because in the US, cryptocurrency is treated as property. Now, this means that if, let's say I write an article and someone pays me in Bitcoin. Let's suppose just for writing an article, I get 1/100th of a Bitcoin, which is about $60, right? I get paid in that. I have to pay tax on the $60 as income. So far, we understand that. You have to pay tax on the work that you do. Now, here's the interesting thing. Because Bitcoin is property, if I go to the store and I want to buy a watch with that Bitcoin, even if that store accepts Bitcoin as payment, so I pay them directly with Bitcoin, 1/100th of a Bitcoin for one watch, I still have to go back and calculate capital gains on my Bitcoin. So I was paid it at $60. It's now $65. What I have to do is say, okay, it went up in value $5 from the time I earned it to the time that I used it for this watch. So I have to pay capital gains on that $5. Even though I'm directly exchanging from Bitcoin to a watch, in the IRS's view, I'm essentially selling that Bitcoin for cash, even though I'm not. That's what I'm doing for tax purposes. And then I'm using that cash to buy the watch. So you can think about this. If you get paid the majority of your wages in crypto and you spend the majority of your wages in crypto, that's a lot of transactions because every time you buy a Coke, every time you buy your Big Mac, every time you buy anything, you are having to do calculations and cost basis and capital gains. So it's extremely cumbersome, and it gives many people to say, hey, I just don't even want to fool with that. So stable coins solve a lot of this issue. If I get paid 10 USDC coin for writing an article, that 10 USDC coin is $10. When I spend it, it's $10. There is no capital gain. There is no loss. I can spend it and go about my day-to-day business, which is why maintaining that peg to fiat is so important. So if we look at this article, it says DAI has been trading erratically, fluctuating between $1.02, $1.03, with a sudden spike up to $1.20. Why is this important? If you're using stablecoins to make that tax reporting easier, to use crypto but not have to do all of this crazy cost basis, once that price goes up to $1.02 or $1.03, $1.20, you are no longer using that stable coin. At this point, you have a capital gains. You now have a taxable event. So as soon as that peg breaks, Or you could look at it from the other way. Let's suppose that when you got paid that USDC coin, or you got paid that DAI, it was 99 cents, and then by the time you sell it, it goes back up to $1. You now have a capital gain. So for these stable coins, it's critical that they maintain the peg to the dollar. Different stablecoins do this in different way. DAI, as many of you may know, has its stability fees and it has its DAI savings rate, and it uses basically financial incentives to get people to keep the price of DAI at $1. I won't go into all the details. You can look up other videos if you want, but basically it's a decentralized system of incentives. By contrast, Circle offers the USDC coin, which is basically collateralized one-to-one by US dollars. So think of it as for every USDC coin, there's literally $1 backing it. You can redeem them one for one for a US dollar. So that's stability to fiat. Now, in this regard, we want it to be as stable as possible. However, here is one issue that I have with these stable coins. So what I want to do is I want to pull up a chart here of, let's just go ahead and find this. Declining purchasing power of the US dollar. And I'm sure you guys have seen charts like this before, but basically it gives you a graph of the US dollar, and it says the purchasing power of the dollar has declined so much since 1913 or 1971 when we went off the gold standard. Here's the thing about stable coins. If these stable coins are pegged to the US dollar and the US dollar goes down in value, your purchasing power necessarily has to decline in value as well. And if you look around at all this crazy stuff that's going on, a $2 trillion stimulus, I've heard $6 trillion stimulus, the purchasing power of the dollar is going to go down and your cryptocurrency is going to go down as well. So what some cryptocurrencies are doing, they're saying, okay, let's not be stable in terms of fiat, let's try and be stable in terms of purchasing power. And historically, one of the greatest forms of purchasing power stability has been gold. So we have Digix, which is a gold-backed token. And you can look at their website, but basically one Digix token is equal to 1 gram of 0.9999 fine gold. So throughout history, I'm sure you've heard the analogy that a gold coin in Rome there was 1 ounce could buy a suit, and today basically if you had a 1 ounce gold coin, that would be the amount of money you still needed to buy for a suit. So throughout time, gold retains its purchasing power throughout war, throughout famine, throughout economic collapse. However, in the short run, there's still some volatility associated with that. So let's go ahead and go to Market Watch. We will pull up a chart of gold, and let's go ahead and look at this on a pretty large scale. We can see that back in 2011, the price got up to about $1,800 at one point, and today it's at $1,600. So even after, 9 years, the price hasn't recovered. So yes, it's maybe better in the long run, but we have some short-term volatility. There have been other proposals. People have proposed a basket commodity, so a crypto that's backed not just by gold, but perhaps oil, wheat, Japanese yen, US dollar. You can think of any conglomeration of commodities really to back a cryptocurrency. And the idea is that the more things you throw in the mix, it's going to be more stable. However, these basket type commodities, these basket type currencies usually break down because, one, they're too complex. The more things you throw into the mix, the more different prices you have to keep track of and in certain ratios, and they usually just end up falling apart because they're too complicated. So where does that leave us? Basically, we have stablecoins. Now, stablecoins as they currently exist are tied to a depreciating asset, be it the US dollar or whatever other national currency you have. They're tied to a depreciating asset. Gold-backed currencies or an oil-backed currency, right? They're tied to a physical asset, but commodities have extreme volatility themselves. So yeah, it is tied to something physical, but that's no guarantee. For example, gold is currently scarce, right? Gold has value because it's hard to mine, it's hard to refine, hard to extract, there's a limited supply. But look at technology. What if something in the next 5 years makes gold super easy to find? What if we start doing space mining? What if an asteroid crashes into Earth that's loaded with gold, right? These are probably slim possibilities, but they're not completely unrealistic either. The same thing with oil. Look how erratic the price of oil is. An oil-backed stablecoin would rapidly lose and gain value depending on what's going on in the Middle East, what kind of shift people are doing away from oil to more renewable forms of energy. So the point here that I'm trying to make is that there's really two different kinds of stability. If you have something that's stable to the US dollar, we know that the US dollar loses purchasing power through inflation, through money printing, through all of this stuff. It's just going to happen. So In reality, the closer your stablecoin approximates the value of the dollar, the more guarantee you have of losing purchasing power. On the flip side of that, if you want to do a stablecoin that's stable in terms of purchasing power, something like a gold-backed stablecoin or perhaps a commodity-backed stablecoin, one, you have the issue that that commodity itself might not remain stable, but number two, you are inherently going to be unstable with regard to the purchasing power of the dollar. And this relationship is going to break down even more as we see these governments ramping up the money, ramping up the printing presses. The more stable you are in terms of purchasing power, the more unstable it's going to appear that you are in terms of US dollar value. So crypto is great. It's given us a lot of great things. It's given us stable coins. It's given us, the whole DeFi ecosystem. And the point that I want to end with is that crypto can give us a lot. It can give us a stable coin that matches the performance of the dollar. It can give us a stable coin that matches the performance of gold, oil, whatever we want. We can be stable to fiat or we can be stable to purchasing power. Crypto can give us the best of both worlds, but it can't give us both at the same time. Hope you all found the video useful, and I will see you next time.